at Turpentine Creek Wildlife Refuge. We rescue animals and give them the best lives possible in captivity. We dedicate ourselves to providing quality care for the animals that call our refuge home. In a single day, we can experience the highest highs and the lowest lows. Yet, at the end of the day, we are a family.
Hey, welcome to this week's live video. Thanks for tuning in. This week's animal of the week is going to be Magic. Happens to be one of my favorite cats. She's one of the leopards that we have rescued. She came to us in 2010. To us from a facility called Predator World. That was closed down as long as they had big cats, so they couldn't be open to the public with the animals. Unfortunately, they did have an attack incident there that kind of led to them being shut down. So there were 5 tigers that needed to be rescued, the leopard Magic, the little flip Kawadi that we have, and a lion, and 1 bear. I don't know if I said 10. So anyway, another one of our multiple animal rescues. It was over the winter time, so we did have to pick some warmer days to rescue the animals. Unfortunately, every single one of them had to be sedated because there was no safe way to get the animals to load otherwise. So just another case of inappropriate care for the animals. They weren't being cared for as they needed to be. And unfortunately, a 16-year-old that worked there was allowed in the enclosure with the 3 orange tigers. He is alive, and we're glad for that. The animals were just acting like tigers, and that's what makes them so dangerous. So that kind of led to the rescue, and again, we brought in multiple animals. Magic is definitely very leopard-like. Most of our leopards are pretty aggressive. They're not nice at all. And that's okay. We respect that. That's what makes us a sanctuary for the animals. They can be a leopard, they can be a tiger, they can be a bear, they can be everything that encompasses that. So Magic's one of the ones that is very aggressive, and unfortunately we work really hard to minimize that. She's one of the candidates that we added to our behavioral management program to help alleviate some of that. She's one of the animals that makes it really difficult sometimes to provide care for, because she gets really stressed. She will be very distrustful of us after a vet procedure. So she's one that we chose to add to the behavioral management program for that. So she did have to undergo a procedure a couple years ago, and she was already in the program. And all we did was ask her for some trust, and it was really awesome to see how quickly she was able to build the trust back. So we had to take her in for an emergency spay, and with that, of course, that can be really painful. We have to be able to monitor the incision and everything like that, and she did awesome. So previous to that, it would be really hard for us to monitor. She'd be very skittish and scared. And even the day after the procedure, she allowed me to interact with her. She came over, I was able to feed her her medication and just some treats, and she did really, really awesome. We were able to monitor the incision on a daily basis, so it really, really allowed us to provide the best care possible for Magic. So there's a few just things that you'll notice about her. She loves to stalk people when they come to visit. And she just makes a memorable experience for the people. She does live right next door to Spike, so when you guys are out next time, make sure you check her out. We have another, the normal spotted colored leopard named Selbit that she shares with, so it'll be one of the 2 of them out, and then Spike gets to be out all the time, so he's definitely one that everyone remembers too. So this topic of the week is going to be the color variants for the animals. So when you guys come out to visit, you'll notice that we do have Spike, who's a black leopard, and then we have Magic and Selbit that are the normal coloration for leopards. The white coloration for tigers, and we have a few other interesting colorations. Khaleesi is one of the tabby. She's called a tabby or strawberry tigers. I'm going to go over the black coloration first with leopards. So it's called melanistic coloration or melanism, and it is a natural occurring coloration for leopards. So just like the genetic pathway is a little bit different, but it is called a recessive gene. So it's kind of like blue eyes in people. So it is recessive. Usually both your parents have to carry the coloration to get that. So that is true of leopards. You can get a black leopard out of two normal spotted coloration, the yellow with the dark spots. But they both have to carry that black coloration at some point in their genes. It's the opposite of that, which is really interesting with jaguars. So actually, the black coloration or melanism in jaguars is a dominant trait. So not really sure how to explain that. With leopards anyway, it's pretty interesting. It's a little more common. The yellow coloration is still the more dominant trait, but the black coloration is actually more common in darkly forested, like densely forested areas or the mountainous regions. So it's pretty interesting. It may lend itself to saying that that's a little bit better camouflage for the animals in that, in those darkly colored, densely forested regions. So that's interesting. Not to say that it's more common than the yellow coloration. That is still definitely the more common than what you're going to see more times than not. In captivity, unfortunately, inbreeding and selective breeding, different things like that, are responsible for the white tiger as well as the tabby or golden tiger. White tigers occur very rarely in nature, 1 in 40,000 chance. All of the ones in the United States can be traced back to one, maybe two bloodlines, but more likely one. And there is so much inbreeding in white tiger breeding. Yeah, it's more inbreeding than not. So you can increase the chance of getting the white coloration, which is really, really rare, when you inbreed. So again, not an ethical breeding practice. It's certainly not going to help the animal in the wild at all. You're not going to breed a bunch of white tigers and then one day be able to release them into the wild. It's just not going to help. Animals' coat coloration is really important for camouflage in the wild, and as you'd imagine, the white tiger is going to stand out really noticeably. That being said, with the golden tabby, they are never ever found in the wild. So unlike a white tiger that you may find one super rare, you're never going to find a golden. So tons of inbreeding goes into creating the coloration, and just lots of selective breeding for the lighter coat and different things like that, but it is mostly a result of inbreeding, which is really unfortunate. They are beautiful and really interesting to look at, but it's not something that we really advocate here at the Refuge. We don't do any breeding at all, of course, but we definitely don't advocate the selective and definitely not inbreeding of the animals. So we don't need another mouth to feed. We're trying to rescue animals that need to be taken out of situations, so that's why we don't do any breeding here. So yeah, the Khaleesi, when you guys come to see her, she's a beautiful cat, and we do love to have her here. She's really rambunctious, very fun cat. But just kind of know some of the genetics that goes into that is not, fortunately, not the best for the species, and sometimes can be very detrimental to the cat. I mean, she doesn't have any trouble, but that's not true of all of the animals in captivity that have been bred. Another kind of color variation, we do have two what are called pure white tigers. I did this because they're not pure. They do have some coloration, some striping, that kind of thing. But again, a lot of inbreeding goes in to create those two. So it's just, they take animals that are a little bit lighter and they continue to breed them and inbreed them and that kind of thing to get that white tiger, the pure white. They're really rare, and so that's why they're kind of coveted a little bit more than just the beautiful orange coloration. But again, the selective breeding like the white tigers, tabbies, pure white, is not helping the species as a whole, and we're definitely in a critical stage for tigers in the wild. There's maybe 3,000 left, so if we don't do something to drastically change what we're doing in the wild for them, we could see them go extinct in our lifetime. So it's a really kind of a scary situation for them. So I definitely want to advocate proper breeding. A lot of zoos are involved in what's called a species survival plan. And that's one day to be able to release animals into the wild to help those numbers. And all these conservation efforts and things like that are going to play a huge role in saving the tiger as a species. So definitely that's where the education and research needs to be more so than the breeding habits of a white tiger to create tabbies and things. So that's definitely where we stand as a facility, and we're going to advocate the conservation of the species. They're such beautiful animals, and they deserve a right on this planet too. So definitely going to advocate proper, appropriate breeding in a controlled, proper setting as well. So again, we don't do that here. We're strictly rescue, so we are going to take them out of the exotic pet trade. So if you guys have questions, make sure you keep tuning in, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability at the end. This week's staff member of the week is me, as if you guys don't see me enough, but now you get to learn a little bit more about me. My name is Ivy Cooper. I recently got married a couple of years ago, so my new last name is Doss, so you'll kind of see both of that floating around still. But I came here as an intern in August of 2006, and I was hired a year later, August 2007. I fell in love with the mission and the animals. It's really easy to do here. When you guys come and visit, you guys generally fall in love with the animals too, which is why you continue to support the facility and the animals that find sanctuary here. Let's see, what do I do in my spare time? Well, I love to go hiking. I love to be outside, so I go hiking with my dogs a lot and hang out with my family. We like to go to the lake, different things like that. But yeah, my passion and my labor of love is definitely with the animals. So I do rescue. We all do our own personal rescues too. So I have 2 dogs and a cat, and a few other little animals like my chickens. I like my chickens. Yeah, enough about me. Anyway, so if you guys have questions, just keep tuning in and I'll answer them. But thank you guys for supporting Turpentine Creek and our mission. Okay, we got some questions. Sorry, what was the question, Lisa? Oh, okay, so we have a question. How does Selbit and Magic react to each other? So their building is designed, they can't actually see each other. They can kind of sniff each other through the cracks of the solid doorways. So they kind of smell each other, a little bit of hissing when we first released Selbit in there. But yeah, they can't actually see each other all that well, but they kind of smell each other. We have a question about how much and what do they eat. So for our leopards, they're around maybe 100 pounds each. They're not very, they're in the big cat family, but they're the smaller of the big cats. So they're, from like 75 to around 150, 200 for a really, really large male. So they eat anywhere from 2 to 4 pounds of raw meat. And it can be chicken. They also really enjoy the fresh cow when we get that donated. So they eat just strictly raw meat, and we supplement with different vitamins and nutrients, just like we do for all the animals. So we have a question about how do we get the animals to go into shelter in bad weather. Mostly food. These guys are really food motivated, so we can get them to do just about anything we need to for food. That being said, if we know that storms are coming, like when we come to work in the day, we constantly are checking the weather. So if we know it's going to be really bad storms all day, we actually won't shift the animals out into their big habitats That way we don't have to try and get them to come in the middle of a storm. So we constantly are keeping an eye on the weather to make sure that we're keeping the animals safe, as well as all of the workers here too. And our guests, we keep you guys safe too, of course. Okay, so I guess that's all the questions we have so far. Keep coming. I'll keep answering them as long as you guys are posting them. I did want to make sure and let you guys know a little bit of an update on our bear habitat. We did reach our match, so thank you so much everyone that supported and donated to that. We have 106,000 of our 150,000 goal, so there is still money that we need to help complete our large natural bear enclosures. So definitely keep the support coming. Make sure you're sharing everything on Facebook with your friends and family. We really appreciate that. Along with that, we're doing a fundraiser on Giving Tuesday, which is 2 weeks away. So it's we're gonna do different videos and posts of items that we need, and just keep you guys involved. And we're really excited about that. We did awesome on Arkansas Gives, and you guys just the outpour of generosity was very, very touching. So we're really hoping that you guys can tune in and help us out with Giving Tuesday too. Okay, so there's a couple more questions. The white coloration. So the orange with the black stripes provides awesome camouflage in the tall jungle and densely forested areas. The white coloration, of course, is going to stick out a little bit more noticeably if you can think of what looks orange to dark brown when it's dark with stripes. The different stripes and spots, different patterns like that actually help to break up the body shape, the body line when you're looking at the animal. So the white coloration is going to be a lot more noticeable than the darker orange coloration. So that's why I do not think white tigers occur all that often in nature. And I would suspect a little bit like some dogs know when there's something wrong with a runt or something looks strange. Animals are highly intelligent and very intuitive, so I imagine sometimes even if animals in the wild are randomly got a white cub, I'm not so sure a mom would take care of it. They definitely know there's something different about it. Even cats that we have here, when we put a white cat next to them, some of the orange tigers are like a little bit, just a marked difference of reaction, so they react a little bit differently to the white tigers. I think that's because they understand there's something a little bit different and they're really noticeable. What was the other question, Lisa? Oh, okay. And the other question is, have we brought any new animals since Colorado? We haven't. We were definitely trying to recover and everything like that from that big rescue. But it really didn't slow us down too much. That's why we brought in the 5 bears, and we wanted to build this beautiful giant habitat. So that's where our focus has been right now. So we haven't had any ones. Alrighty, well, thank you guys for tuning in to this week's live feed. Definitely tune in next week, and we'll continue to update and educate and support us. Thank you so much.